Bună ziua tuturor. Bine ai venit în Romania. Good day, everybody. Welcome to my office here in Romania. This is a new series that I'm doing. In all honesty, I never thought I would do another series on YouTube. But the people who are part of my pack, as I call them, my family, family is not always blood. It is blood, but it's not always blood. There are more to it than that. Have been pushing me in this direction for a long time. I'm not a fan of YouTube. I'm a fan of YouTube, but I'm not a fan of YouTube. Right? I think some of the content here is fantastic, but I'm against any platform that censors. And that's both sides of the scale, right? I was on this platform and censored terribly for many years. I was demonetized, and it doesn't matter if I qualify for monetization or not. I don't want it. I don't want anything from YouTube. It's just the way that is. The series that we're going to do probably about twice a week here is called Wisdom of the Grandmaster. Now, I had somebody recently go, "You're a grandmaster?" And this is like a 28-year-old or 30-year-old kid talking to me like that. I took the title of grandmaster when I became a grandfather. It's just a title. It means nothing. And this is one of the important things to understand is it's about the journey. It's not about little rewards or little things along the journey. It's about the journey. And every person's journey is personal. My journey is not your journey. My journey has been very, very different. I'm 40 years in the martial arts, and that's for real, full time. From the beginning, pretty much, I dedicated myself, it pushed myself beyond what most people are willing to push in order to learn. It wasn't because I wanted to win things. Now, I was interested in getting a black belt, obviously. Because the system, while the system is not what people think it is, because it was originally put together at the turn of the 20th century for judo competitions. It's not some great doctrine from the past where, oh my goodness, this means this. Masters of old didn't bother with this kind of trivial nonsense. But it's very, very good for the motivation of students. So, people need to get over themselves when it comes to these sorts of things, and just simply study and train. That's all that needs to be. But what I want to talk to you about today is very much part of the times. Why are you still allowed to train in martial arts today? Why has it not been banned? And that you will get people who come back to me, well, they may never do that. You believe that? Okay. I think the last 4 or 5 years would show you a little bit of something a little bit different, that they would never do that. But okay, you keep believing that. The reason is the bite is gone. And this raises the ire of people in many, many martial arts that goes, well, my system works. I know because it works for me. Yeah, you do realize that means nothing. That's one of the problems. That's your ego talking. I never needed a martial arts to be good at fighting. I was a combative kid. I didn't get bullied. I didn't bully either because I'm odd. I'm kind. I'm odd. I was the defender of the kids who were getting bullied. But that just came naturally for me. I got into boxing and wrestling. I wanted to be a professional wrestler. I was told I wasn't big enough, which of course turns out to be a pile. But that's okay. My life took a martial arts path instead. I was fascinated by it. I remember seeing Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon, and I was Enter the Dragon. The Green Hornet, and I was 6 years old when that premiered. I was just blown away by the whole thing. I just loved it all. I didn't need it to be effective. It just highly polished me. But see, it was never about fighting anyway, because by the time I started to get into it, I started to realize that this idea of bar fighting and doing this is all just foolishness. And you see, as long as you're taking your skills and you're doing foolish things with them, you'll be allowed to continue, because when you get charged with assault, I was talking with one of my students recently about somebody he taught who ended up breaking somebody's leg and, of course, was charged for that. Well, it keeps court systems busy. It keeps money in the court systems, because the court systems don't operate for free. You realize that, right? They don't operate for free. That's taxpayers' money that goes to operate those court systems, and they want those courts full, because they want that money coming in. It's got nothing to do with justice most anymore. It used to, not anymore. Especially in the West, man. West is just insane. But it's not effective anymore. But because you're effective doesn't mean it's effective. I have had, I don't know how many thousands of real students over the years. Because I came in a surge time, and my first instructor had me teaching when I was a green belt. Because I had the personality for it. And he watched me like a hawk, trained me well, watched me like a hawk. But I saw many people with gorgeous technique who couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag because it was not in them to do so. And that's what it gets down to. You have to have that warrior spirit inside of you. So, again, why are you allowed to train today? Well, that's easy. It's not effective. How do we make it effective? Well, we need more MMA. No. That's not, sport does not relate to real life. I competed for 8 years. In my I competed from 24 to 32, and I had a knee injury. I was not a world-class competitor because, honestly, I didn't enjoy it. It was a requirement, and it was 5% of our training, roughly. And experience was good. Did I learn anything from it? I don't know. I don't think so. I learned to do things in front of other people, but I was doing demos 10 times more often than I was competing, so I was used to it. I've done demos in front of thousands of people back in the day. Right? I loved it. Right? It's part of the process. Now, a martial art becomes effective when it stops being technique bound. And I have watched some fabulous techniques. Techniques don't work. Ever. Technique will never work. And if you think your technique worked in a situation, you don't remember the situation because of the adrenaline. Right? We tend to mold things into what we want our perception of them to be. And that's fine until you're telling somebody, well, if you do A, B, C, then you're going to be safe. No, you're not. I teach concepts and principles, and I teach them by technique, and I tell you very straight out, throw the technique away. Just work the concepts and principles, because it will happen different every time. It is infinite what can happen. The possibilities are infinite in a finite world. And until we get back to teaching concepts and teaching values with those concepts, we're not dangerous to the powers that be. It's that simple. Because if we're playing the game that they wish us to play, which I don't, I just don't involve myself with it. Period. I'm not involved with the regular world. I can't do anything about it. It's not my problem anymore. I was at one time very much the patriotic fighter. The demonstrations and all that stuff. And then I realized that I was being betrayed by the very people that said they were on my side. Anyways, that's for a whole other time in another video. I met in 2003. I went to, it was 2003. I think it was 2003. I think it was just before the big blackout in North America, on the east coast of North America. I went to a NACMA conference in Orlando, Florida for a week. It was a great conference. Had a really good time there. Met lots of people. And I was 43. Oh, that's that long ago. And I was walking through the hotel lobby, and I looked over. I brought my girlfriend at the time. And I looked over, and I saw Jean-Marie sitting in a cafe, because this hotel had terraces. It was a big indoor area, but there were terraces food court type things for eating. I forgot about that word. And Junri was sitting there with his family, and he caught me looking at him, right? Because, I mean, the man, great man, living legend, and I knew Stephen Oliver at that point, and I knew that was his teacher. So he waved me over, told me to sit down and have a coffee with him. So we talked for about half an hour. So very nice. But one of the things he said to me, he said, does your school have tenets, student creed, all of these things? I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir, it does. He said, good. He says, because if you don't, you're a barbarian. You're teaching barbarianism without those codes. Today, we live in a world devoid of morals and values. Right is wrong, wrong is right. And the very fact that I could say that and get somebody mad at me tells me it's true. Right? Just the way the mind works. If somebody looks at me and they accuse me of something, and it's a lie, why would I be upset? It's just their opinion. But if they challenge me and it's true and I'm trying to hide it, then it upsets me. Right? It's the way it is. That's the way human nature works. And that's one of the studies within a martial arts, is to learn about human nature. That helps you to deal with people in the real world. Because the number one thing, besides your skills, is learning to de-escalate. Martial arts, you should grow better with age, not pathetic with age. And the only way you can grow better with age is by learning the concepts, the principles, the theories, and understanding how to apply them. That's why men like Ueshiba and Ip Man were so devastating in their old age. They understood the concepts and the theories. And their students didn't want those because they weren't exciting. Want excitement in it. And that's the perils of being young, of course. I was that way as well. I got into a Hapkido / Taekwondo mix for 16 years because I loved the kicking. Just absolutely loved it. And, the more jumping over things, that was just all great, exciting stuff, right? No application, but great for disciplining the body. We have to get ourselves back to a place where the values that are instilled in the martial arts. That's one of the things that makes it an art form, is the values. MMA is not martial arts, it's sport. And that's fine. Do the sport. That's what you want to do the sport. I don't have an issue with that. It's when you start to call a paint by numbers set Rembrandt that you get my ire up a little bit about it. Right? Because there is no, you're painting the farm by numbers. There's no relationship between that and the painting on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, if I said that correctly. It's just completely different. Plus, there's a trend that has come into the martial arts world too that I'm seeing. It's been coming for a long time, and the times have peaked it, which is actually bullying within the community itself. I don't get bullied. I have people try, but there's one right now that's trying. He makes me laugh because he thinks I care. Well, you're a chicken, you won't reply to me. No, I just won't engage you because it's not worth my time. Instead of doing this, why don't you do what you're threatening? It's that simple. Okay? I just don't care. I would say his name, but why? He's the son of a former instructor. I met him when he was 10. I think he was 10. He was just a little kid. Stupid person. People are... And the funny thing about it is you're violating your own values doing that. I've got people right now that have, learned various parts of my system and have gone off and are teaching it. Great, man, do it. Do it. Go out and teach it. Because if you don't teach it, it's going to die. I recently had a guy send me a scathing email because he didn't like one of the emails I sent. I market a lot. I have to, right? It's the way the world is. I'm a businessman. I got to market. And sometimes people don't realize that 1,000 people are going to see this email. Sometimes 2,000, 3,000 people are going to see this email, even though it's got your name in it, right? And he was all upset because, he thought I was challenging his lineages and stuff. It'd still be ridiculous. So he challenged mine. Okay. You don't believe what I say? That's fine. Hey, let's shake hands and we'll part ways. You go your way, I'll go my way. But one of the things he said to me that bothered me, I'll be honest, it bothered me, was he told me he was the only person in the United States qualified to teach what he teaches. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, was that a failure or what? So when you croak, everything you knew goes with you. That's sad. That's very sad. Because that's not a feather in your cap, in my estimation. That's an epic, catastrophic failure. That's one of the reasons I've done all the courses and books and things like that. It's not to get rich, because you're not gonna. You get the very rare person, like George Dillman, who can write a book, him and Chris Thomas, and it can be an enormous seller and you can make big money off of it. But that's very, very rare in a niche industry like the martial arts. You're not writing fiction books, sorry. You're not Stephen King writing The Stand, where everybody might have an interest in it. Martial arts is very, very, especially pressure points, very, very slim demographic for you. You do it to continue to download the brain so that, the things you've learned don't die with you. And to me, that's extremely important that they don't. That's why I encourage anybody who's learning anything from me, go out and teach it. Not, it belongs to me, I'm going to protect it. That's foolish. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're 100 years old. It doesn't matter if you're 19 years old. None of us know how long we're going to be here. And especially in this day and age, the death rate is higher than it's ever been right now for many, many reasons. And it's tragic if the things that you did in your life go with you because you didn't leave anything for other people. Now, you leave things and people don't push it, promote it, carry it on. Nothing you can do about that. But many great traditions have died, and that's one of my great concerns. Is one of the reasons I'm actually even bothering with these videos, is to try to bring us back to what the martial arts is supposed to mean, with the commercialization pulled back out of it. I have nothing against commercialization. I'm all for the free market, but we don't have one. But I am all for the free market. I'm not a fan of big corporations. It's one of the reasons that I don't like YouTube is the fact it's owned by Google, and I think Google's too big. It needs to be dismantled into smaller corporations, not owned by the same people either, not the same stockholders. We've taken this and they've gone just insane with it. And if you look at the country of my birth, it's one of the worst places in the world for crony capitalism, where you've only got one cell phone company. Even though there's many different names, it's still only one cell phone company, and guess who owns the company, right? That's not a free market when you can't, with all these barriers to entry. Martial arts has always been very, very good. There are very few barriers to entry in most countries. Anyways, I've rambled on long enough. I thank you for watching. Now, I'm lousy at promoting YouTube because I'm just not into it like I am into other things. However, please subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the content, right? If you wish to comment, feel free to do so. I may never see the comment. I'll be very honest, I don't go looking for comments. I had them off for years, and if I start getting stupid comments, I'll turn them off again because I just don't have the time for that. I literally do work 14, 16 hours a day at what I do, right? So, comments going, yeah, you're an idiot, and things like that. Don't waste yourself because you're not going to get me upset, and it just doesn't matter anyway. Opinions are opinions, right? And the last little gem of wisdom I have for you out in the real world, and I would be happy, very happy, if people would take this to heart. People's opinions of you are none of your business. Right? People love me, it's not my business. People hate me, it's not my business. Right? I have to deal with my own thoughts and my own opinions. Have a great day, guys. Ozipuna. See you soon. Bye for now.